Hi everyone, and welcome back to another K-Tapes. This week I have about 20 tapes to show you. Not that many old tapes. Most of them will be, maybe it's going to be like 50-50, but I would say maybe there's a bit more that are going to be late releases. And by that, of course, I mean the 2006 up to 2010. So let's get started. I'll go with the old stuff first, and a little disappointment because some of those I bought online and I got like very limited photos that I can look at and see if the tapes look in decent condition enough like to buy and maybe to sell again, but yeah, those are like really wild guesses, I think. For the first one anyway, a bit of a disappointment. I mean, it wasn't when I saw it, but it was when I opened it up, is the movie Death Spa that you see right here, and it's a great cover and it's such a cool release. Also, it doesn't have like much sun fade. I mean, a little bit with the letters here, but the side here doesn't have much sun fade because there was like a big sticker here, so it prevented from the sunlight. It's a cool cover. It's a great release. I had this tape only once ever before and I sold it, and it wasn't in that much of a good shape, although the tape was fine. But this one, the thing is, the tape, I mean, it's missing because I threw it in the garbage, but the tape was moldy. I mean, I tried to clean it, went through like maybe like, I don't know, 10 minutes of the film and was still, you know, moldy on the reading surface, so I threw it away. Anyway, I kept the box, kept the sleeve in case I find another one. I know this is a really hard to find movie. Only came across 2 or 3 copies ever, including this one, so I mean, chances are quite slim, but if I do find another copy, well, I know I have something to fall back to with this better looking sleeve. Next, we have a Taiwanese film called Pink Force Warriors. I know it goes under like 2 or 3 other titles. I just remember it by this title name. So it's a Taiwanese production. I don't know about the specs of this film yet. I didn't pop it in the VCR, but it may be in Taiwanese, so in Chinese with Korean subtitles. I don't know about the other releases, if they were like only in English or whatnot, and if this copy is rare or not. I don't think so. I think it was like a fairly common title that, you know, was released in many countries, and that is because I think it's an IFD production, I think. So that's why it had like a wider release window for this film. So anyway, it's a cool cover. I love it, and it has like barely any sun fade on the spine, which is cool. Although it has this small crease here, like it was like a tear. So I mean, the box was beat up right there. It was all broken up. So I had to change the clamshell. So other than this thing, which is a bit, it's a bit sad, of course, but I mean, it's a very good-looking tape. Otherwise, same goes with the cassette. Very clean. I mean, I cleaned it up. It was a bit dirty, but I mean, now it is perfect, top condition. Playback is great, I assume. Okay, next we go with another film here. This is an American film called Killing Kind. I had to look this one up because, of course, there's a mishmash of like pictures on the cover. You don't really know what this film is, and it turns out that is a 1973 film that seems to be like a horror, thriller, drama, mixed bag. The cover does look like a horror film. that's why I picked it up, and it's something that I don't see very often, so that's why also the other reason I picked this one up. And again, very clean film, very clean copy, as usual, because the stuff that isn't clean just goes straight to the trash. And the cool thing is, this is the original clamshell for the same label. All right. Okay, the next one I picked up is called Night of the Sharks, and this is again really cool because it has very little to no sun fade on the spine, like gorgeous colors all across the board. I think this one also had like a tiny crease. I think that's the theme of the week. The little creases here on the lower end of the edge of the tape of the spine. See, it's not too big and it's not too apparent, but the other one was a bit bigger. Anyway, this film is 1988 by Tonino Ricci. So an Italian production. I mean, Italian sharks doesn't get any better, right? So that's why I picked it up. Also, tape is in good shape. I had to clean it up, and I had to change the clamshell because of this thing here. It was peeled off, so the clamshell was beat up. So anyway, good looking tape, a good looking sleeve all across the board. Very happy about this one. The next one is a tape that does a little comeback. I mean, I find that tape maybe once a year, more or less. It doesn't mean it's not rare, but it's always in quite high demand. It's The Burning, so the early 90s movie, The Burning, not to be confused with Don't Go in the House, that shares the same title for some reason, in Korea, that is. It's also called The Burning. So this is The Burning with, yeah, the scissors and everything. So this is the one you guys know, and of course, no, there's no, you know, this is from The Fog, so the pictures have nothing to do with the film. Except, yeah, the scissors and maybe this one. I haven't seen The Burning in so long, so I can't tell. Yeah, other than some sun fade on the spine here for the title, this part here again had a sticker that covered, that's why it's still bright red. Here too, this is fine. It's just a little bit here and here has sun fade, but otherwise very clean looking copy, very good. Yeah, it has like a crack here, but I mean the tape, the playback's fine, everything's okay. So The Burning, this one will be up for sale, just like the other tapes, by the way. Whoops. Okay. Next one. This is a bit of a wild guess from me, because I kind of knew this was rare and kind of, I don't know if I can say in demand in Korea, although I'm gonna, you know what, I'm gonna take the chance, I'm gonna say yes. High demand tape in South Korea, and it's this film. Okay, I've seen this on some websites before, long time ago, and I don't know why this tape always went up very high in prices, like in hundreds of dollars, and I was like, what the hell is this? And yes, someone could say, yeah, it looks like a documentary on like some Southeast Asian stuff, and it has like Chinese, I mean, those can be like the Korean, the old Korean writing, of course. So anyway, turns out this movie is called God's Stranger, or Stranger of God, or something like that. I mean, this is the poor translation, I guess, from the Hangul. I have the Korean name here. And it's supposed to be a Taiwan and Korea co-production, and it's a horror film. And by the look of it, it's like some ghosts and black magic, you know, this typical like devil's worship thing. So yeah, it's and the thing is also that I've looked up is that the movie is in Korean. So I think there is obviously a Taiwanese release of this, or I mean a Chinese release of this in Chinese, but this one is in Korean audio. And also I dig a bit more info, and the director is Korean, some of the actors are Korean, so it could be also like a different cut of a film that, again, I couldn't find what the Taiwanese equivalent of that movie is, because sometimes you find movies like that and you're like, oh, it's this film, oh okay, it's just a Korean version. But this is not just a Korean version, it's the Korean language version. Probably has different scenes or different order of scenes, and maybe different storytelling, because usually Korean movies of like horror films like that, like Hong Kong or Taiwanese film, are a bit more tame, so they change scenes and they put more drama into them. So I think this is the case for this one. Otherwise, in Korea, to be honest, there would be no reason why this movie would be high in prices like this, because I've seen movies like that would have like a Korean version and just turned out the movie was like $2 or whatever, but this one is really expensive, so it must be something like this. Also, yeah, what else can I say? I mean, it has a gorgeous unfaded spine, which again, I was like, wow. And of course has like a tiny crease here. Like I said, it's the today's topic, right? And the tape is gorgeous looking, very clean, even still has the tab here. So be careful not to record on top of it. Okay, let's move on. Next, I picked this one up. I had it before, but the old version. This is like a more recent release. I think it's early 2000. Let me check. Does it say here? Yeah, 2001. So it's 2001, but the movie is Slumber Party Massacre Part 2. And this re-release is actually uncut. But I think the original release was not cut as well. From like someone who bought it from me told me that it even had like tiny snippets of scenes not in the American version, which was like, wow. For this one, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, cover is kind of weird and looks like some new school garbage, but it is Slumber Party Massacre Part 2. Yeah, a bit of sun fade on the spine, but it's generally good looking and the tape is in good condition, so yeah. Okay, next I have Runaway Train. That's nothing special. It's a Canon release on the old Seoul production label. The only reason I picked this up, yeah, because it's a cool 80s film. It was very good. It was based, I think, on a Akira Kurosawa screenplay. And also it's totally unfaded, and this is quite rare for a movie that old. In South Korea they're all like super sun faded, so that's the only reason I picked it up, really. But yes, the tape is, I think there's a bit of mold here. I need to clean this up, but that's nothing. It won't affect the playback. I'll put this one aside, need to clean it. Okay, next we have it says 96 Escape Girl. I think it's Prison Heat, if I remember correctly. That's an early 90s film called Prison Heat. Yeah, I mean, that's why I picked it up, right? No, I picked it up because it was like in cup shape, the price was good, and absolutely no sun faded. This tape is mint, yeah, in its original clamshell, I believe. So yeah, that was a grab. Okay, next I have sorry, I have this one. It says American. So yeah, this is the American version of Fist of the North Star with Gary Daniels. It's should I say a B or Z movie with those old school special effects. I think it was decent. I mean, it was horrible, but decently horrible. So yeah, anyway, there's like fans of Fist of the North Star, so I picked it up, and also because it was like absolutely gorgeous copy, unfaded, near mint. So yeah, this one is up for sale. Okay, now we're gonna dive into like the late releases, so the post-2006 releases, except one of them. Okay, so I'll start with James Bond, but it's not James Bond. It's Defiance. This is a movie with Daniel Craig, and of course it is, it says right here, 2008. So this is a 2008 release, maybe even 2009. Yeah, sorry, yeah, the movie is 2008, I think, but yeah, it says 2009 April. So this is a 2009 April release, quite rare. And quite late in the VHS cycle. So anyway, that's why I picked it up. Okay. Next, why not? I never buy these kinds of film. I just buy them to like literally resell them. I'm not gonna be ashamed of that. I mean, I'm not bashing those films in any way, shape or form, but it's just not my bag. I just buy them to resell them, make someone happy who really wants those. But I picked up Chicken Little. It is the, like it says here, this is the English release with Korean subtitles. And the reason, of course, I picked this one up is because usually you would see the Korean releases with the Korean dubs, because those films are obviously for kids, and kids, regardless of the country, they don't like to read subtitles. They want to just understand the film, enjoy it. So that's why most of these films are released dubbed in South Korea. But it doesn't mean there are no subtitles version. There's a few, and also they're like, I guess, lesser number printed, which makes them a bit more harder to find. But anyway, Chicken Little was one of those which I found the subtitle version with original English audio, so I picked it up, and it's an overall very beautiful copy. Here there's like a fold, but it's just a plastic, okay? The sleeve isn't folded. So yeah, it's in pretty good shape. Yeah, top shape. So that's why I picked this one up. Okay, next we have a James Wan film. If you're not familiar with James Wan by now, you should be, I think, because he's one of the more recent directors who make like really great horror films that really had a good cult following, such as Saw, and I do forget the other two, but they had like countless spin-offs. God, how can I forget this? Anyway, I'm tired, I'm sorry. But yeah, James Wan, and this movie came out, Death Sentence, came out 2007. This release is early 2008. It was a great film, by the way. It was a fun film. And it's unfaded, that's why I picked it up. Here you have like a little thing, but this is just a plastic sleeve. It doesn't affect the... it doesn't affect the sleeve, the paper sleeve inside. It's just the sleeve, plastic. I mean, okay. So yes, beautiful copy, beautiful tape. Okay, so let's move on. Here I have a Korean film which is called White Knight. This is like a thriller drama. I mean, the Korean movies, I mean, some people like them, don't know them, or whatever, but they always have like really cool posters. You have to give them that. They really have like some gorgeous artwork, even though you have like just a few faces and it's kind of but it's still like very nice layout. And this film, the reason I picked it up is this is 2010, and the 2010 films are like the really last year they released tapes in South Korea. I mean, it's 2011 to be fair, but I've seen only once a tape that was 2011, and stupid me, I didn't pick it up. And I do believe there's maybe about 4 or 5, maybe 6 movies that were released in 2011, and they're all Korean films, by the way. So I'm still on the hunt to find one. That's kind of my, my goal when I see those late releases. I so want to grab a 2011 tape just so I can say I have one tape that came out like one of the very last tapes. Anyway, this is not one of the very last ones, but it's the last year quote, because that's 2010, so it's a very late release. That's why I picked this one up. Okay, now we're gonna jump into some movies by Warner Brothers. This one is late 2006. I think the tape is 2000. Yeah, tape is 2007. It's middle of 2000. It's May 2007. This is Blood Diamond. Great film, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Tape is in top shape. Same thing with the cassette, so that's why I picked it up. It was a no-brainer for that. And I mean, there's probably some Leonardo DiCaprio fans here that may want this one. So, and this is of course for sale. Okay, next with the Universal. A bit of a trashy film, nothing special. Death Race, I think it was crap, apparently. I mean, I would believe it was. And this was from it's a Paul W.S. Anderson film. I guess the only good film he made was back then, like Event Horizon, and maybe Mortal Kombat, and The Soldier, if you can call that a good film. But after that he made like all these Resident Evil films. Anyway, that's a film he made late 2009. Yeah, this release is 2009. I think it's January 2009. So anyway, it's pretty late in the release cycle, and this tape is gorgeous because it's absolutely unfaded, beautiful copy. So there you go, Death Race. Okay, next continue with the Universal. We have the 40-Year-Old Virgin, and this is, by the way, the uncut version, which is kind of surprising because Korea used to cut all the movies back in the 90s and before that 80s. Many movies were cut, and it's kind of frustrating because if you're looking for uncut films, well, don't look in Korea because you won't find them here. But after 2000, they started changing that. And this film came out it was one of the last movies that came out on tape in North America, I think, as that was like early 2006 or late 2005. And this movie usually goes for some good money on eBay. I mean the US version, of course, but it's not the, well, XXL, it's not the unrated version, which I think has like an extra 10 minutes. So this is the uncut version. It's in English. Of course, it has Korean subtitles, but if you want the uncut version of this film, I don't know if there's any releases in the world that is the uncut or the extended cut in English on VHS, but this is it. All right. There you go. And I think for once the runtime is correct on the cassette. It says 132 minutes. 132 minutes. There you go. Oh, and the release date, if you ask me, yeah, it's May 2006. And the film is 2005. Yeah. Okay, let's continue with Universal. We have the Incredible Hulk. And this, of course, is one of the 3 official MCU films that came out on tape in South Korea. You have Hulk, this one. You have Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is kind of hard to find these days. I found it like so many times before. I just, tossed it away. I wasn't interested in that. But now that people want it, I can find it, which sucks. But yeah, it is what it is. Same thing with Iron Man 2. I found like 2 copies, but they were not in very good shape. I mean, for a movie that came out so late, it should be in better shape than that. I mean, the cassette. So yeah, anyway, the Hulk is in beautiful shape. I mean, it's absolutely unfaded. I mean, overall, very glossy cover, beautiful. Same thing goes for the VHS inside. The cassette is in top shape. So yeah, this is, I think, usually a very, like many people ask me for this tape. So I found actually 2 copies. One's already aside for someone. So I have 1 copy left. Okay, now my final Universal tape I want to show you today, which is actually a two cassette. It's King Kong, and of course this is the Peter Jackson King Kong, which was a great film, by the way, and it's a 2-parter. Sadly, of course, like Korea, usually they do just the same visual for both tapes. The only exception I've seen was The Dark Knight. This one has 2 tapes. And the 2 tapes have a different artwork on each cover. And also on the cassettes, the stickers have a different artwork, which is so cool, I think. But everything else, it's always, the same visual with part 1, part 2, and that's it. So this is King Kong. For the date, it says 2006. And this, it's even more like specific. It says April 10th. Yeah, I guess that's April 10, 2006. So there you go. It's in English with Korean subtitles, just like all the other films, by the way. So King Kong, this one will be up for sale. Okay, now we're down to our 3 last films. The next one is not something that is too rare or too in demand. At least I think there's no demand for that. But it's Ghost Ship, because I think this film was so terrible. People used to call it Ghost Shit back when I used to work in a video store. But I picked it up because it's such in good shape, and the cover is quite cool, to be honest. It rips off like an old movies from I think the late 70s, early 80s, which the title slips my mind right now, but it wasn't Ghost Ship, it was something ship. Anyway, I made a post on Facebook about this, but I just forget about it now. Anyway, cool artwork, it's nice. It's 2002, and back then, like early 2000 tapes are not too hard to find in Korea. I would say this isn't too hard to find if I look around, but it's in top shape, so I cannot, you know, say that enough. It's in top shape, no sun fade whatsoever, so I mean, it's still like highly collectible if someone wants it. Okay, two last films we have here. We have I Am Legend. I think I showed you this one before because I have another copy in stock, unfaded, that's why I picked it up. And this is, I think, again, 2007. Oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah, the movie is 2007, the release is 2008. So really cool. Yeah, and yeah, Will Smith, well. Okay, and now we're going down to the last tape, and this is a January 2010 release, so very, very late release, and that's why I bought this one up, is Orphan. And I think there's a sequel coming out, if it's not out already, or it's going to come out soon. So Orphan, it's in top shape as well. I think it had some humidity, so you see there's like some wrinkles in there. That sucks, but I think it, like, if you press it, put it under a pile of books, it will eventually be fine. But yeah, depends on the angle you look at it, right? But it's in excellent shape otherwise. I would rather have this than sun fade on the spine, to be fair. Also, the tape is in excellent condition. I think I have to just maybe clean it a little bit, but yeah, otherwise it's in great shape. So there you go, early 2010. This was the last year they made tapes for American films, or actually foreign films for that matter. Yeah, the director is Spanish, I guess, yeah. Jom Colesera, yeah, I think there was a Spanish director. Okay, so there you have it, guys. So I'm done for today. The pile is quite big. I'm not gonna put it here, but these are all the tapes I have for you today. Some great stuff, some old movies in there, some new movies. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I see you again very soon, hopefully.